John, neither political candidate or their running mates were in Wisconsin today, but there were a few big-name surrogates who came through town to get Wisconsin voters excited about their candidates. Chelsea Clinton made 3 stops in Wisconsin today. Her third was right here in Madison. Clinton was out speaking on behalf of her mother and Democratic Senate hopeful Russ Feingold. She stressed the importance of getting out to vote in this critical election.
And yet, I think even if I weren't a parent, I would think this was the most consequential election of my lifetime. Because I do think that everything I care most about is at stake. The progress that President Obama has made, that I think he gets far too little credit for having made, is at stake.
In another college town today, RNC Chairman Reince Priebus held a campaign event. He was in Stevens Point today, encouraging voters to get out and vote for Republicans down the ticket, including Senator Ron Johnson. He also made a pitch for his party's presidential nominee, Donald Trump, and says despite some recent low poll numbers for the nominee, he thinks there's still time to pull ahead.
In 1 week, you have polls that say you're 3 down. 1 week says that you're 3 up. I think it's very volatile, and I think with 2 weeks to go, anything can happen. That's why we're still here. We still feel good about it. We feel great about Ron Johnson, and we have a lot to fight for here in Wisconsin.
Even before the primary races here in Wisconsin, many political candidates and their surrogates have been making stops in the state. To find out why that is and what role Wisconsin plays in this big election, I asked a political expert at UW-Madison to explain why the nation has their eye on the dairy state.
Wisconsin's always been one of those states that's more up for grabs, so we do tend to get quite a bit of attention in the presidential race.
The chair of UW's political science department, Professor David Cannon, says even though Wisconsin has voted Democratic in presidential races since Bill Clinton's first term, presidential candidates still keep their eyes on Wisconsin.
It's not quite as competitive as the true battlegrounds, but we're still getting a lot of national attention.
He says one reason for that this year is because of races happening down the ticket.
Clearly, having a competitive Senate race in a competitive presidential race, those two together, make it so this really is a battleground state for that reason, because you have two competitive races.
Right now, Republicans control the Senate in Washington, but the Democrats are only 5 seats away from taking the majority.
Wisconsin is definitely seen as one of those states that's most likely to flip from Republican control to Democratic control.
Professor Cannon says that's why a lot of big names in politics have been stopping by.
Because they want to try to help those down ticket races by get out the vote efforts and to get more voters to the polls.
And even though many voters have already decided who they'll cast their ballot for, Professor Cannon says the work isn't over.
But the big thing now is going to be turnout. And so I think both campaigns are focusing on making sure they get their supporters to the polls, because that's going to make all the difference on Election Day.
With Election Day so close, we can expect to see more big names making their final pitches to Wisconsin voters. Tomorrow, Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump, will be in Waukesha. You can stay up to date on all of our political coverage on our website, NBC15.com, and on our Twitter and Facebook pages.